We'll be learning how to make a simple A-line dress with gathered at the hem. So for us to start, we need to put our fabric on fold. To know how much fabric we need to put on fold, you need to get your hip measurement and add at least 3 inches to it. My hip measurement in this case is 10, and adding 3 inches to it would give me 13 inches. You can add as much as 5 inches depending on how loose or how free you want the dress to be. I have put on fold my front bodice, and I have also put on fold my back bodice. And what I did with the back is I added an extra 1.5 inch here. This is going to serve as my zipper allowance. So on my shoulder line, I'm going to create a straight line here, which is going to serve as my shoulder line. On this line, I will be taking the measurement for my shoulder, and my shoulder is 15 inches. That is 7.5 here, and then there's the standard 3 inches that I'm supposed to take here. On this 7.5 line, I'm coming down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope, and I will be connecting this to the 3 inches point like so. I would like my neck width for this dress to be a bit wider than the standard neck measurement, so I want my neck width to be 4. On this slant line, I'll be taking 1 inch to make my neck width 4, and then I want my neck depth to also be 4 inches, and then I'll be using my curve ruler to connect this together. And this is what I have for my front bodies. For my back bodies, I'll be coming down by 1.5 inches. You can do 2 inches, it depends on your preference. Remember that this is my zipper allowance, so I'll just connect this on a straight line like so, and then on this point I will connect a curve to show my back neckline like this. That is my back neckline. Next thing I want to do is to get my chest line. My chest line is 8 inches, but remember I already took 1 inch here, so I'm going to be taking 9. So from the original line, I'm coming down by 9 inches. That brings me to this point. I'll check here as well to know that I have 9 inches. This is my 9 inches, and then I'm also checking that I have 7.5 here, and I'll be squaring these two lines together like so to get my chest point. That is my chest point. I want to come to the midpoint of this, which is 8. I'm coming in at the midpoint. For the front bodies, I'm coming in by 0.75 to get my armhole curve, and this will be my armhole curve. I will ensure that it's connected from these 3 points from here to here, and then that is my armhole curve for my front bodies. For the back bodies, I'll only be coming in by 0.5. So this would be for the back bodies now, and I'll connect this like so. That is for the back bodies. Next up, I want to take my bust measurements. My bust measurement is 36. I'll be adding ½ inch ease. That would give me 9.5, and then my seam allowance for sewing, 1.5 inch seam allowance. I'll not be using my waist measurements because I want it as a free A-line dress. So I'll be going to my hip line, and my hip line is at 24 inches. I'll mark this out, and then I'll take my hip measurements. Remember, my hip is 40, my hip measurement is supposed to be 10. I'm adding ½ inch ease, that is 10.5, plus 1.5 inch seam allowance, that gives me 12 inches. And I'll be connecting this together to my armhole points. And on my, because I'm adding some gathers at the hemline, so I want this particular bodice to measure 38 inches I'll be adding some gathers at the hem. So here's my 38 inches with my seam allowance. That's my 38 inches, and I'll roll this out on 38 inches. That's where I'll be cutting out from. That's my 38 inches, and on this 38 inches, whatever I have here, I'll be adding 3 inches to it to get my A, and I'll be connecting like so. That is my A line bodice. What I need to do next is to cut out. To cut this out, I'll start by cutting out the back first. The back neckline. Don't forget to add your shoulder joining allowance, 0.5 inch allowance. So like that. Cutting the back armhole first. Here's what I have. I've cut out both the front and the back in an A-line form. Next thing you want to do is at this pointy edge, we want to come up by 1.5 inches so that we don't have a sharp end there. 1.5 inches, and then I'll just curve this out and cut it off. This is what I have. I'll be separating my back from my front. This is the front and this is the back. Remember that I said on the back we'll be adding our zipper. So we need to open this up for the zipper. That's for my back bodice. I'll keep this aside and then we'll finish off the front. So for the front, we need to cut out the neckline like so. We need to also deepen the armhole to 0.75 that we had initially for the front, and then cut it out. And this is my front bodice for the A-line dress, and I have my back bodice separated. The next thing we want to do now is to measure what we have at the hem of this fabric. The hem measurement like this is 15 inches. So to my 15 inches, to be able to get my gathers, depending on how full you want your gathers to be, I'm going to be multiplying. You know, this is 15 inches on fold, so this is 30 inches if I open it out. So 30 inches times 3 is going to give me 120 inches, and 30 inches is for just the front. There's already another 30 inches for the back, so that gives us 60 inches. So 60 inches multiplied by 2 is 120 inches. That's what I'm going to be cutting out as a strip for my gathers. Depending on whatever length you want your gathers to be, feel free to adjust it. Just be mindful that your gathers is going to add to the length of your fabric. Like I want the entire length of this dress to come to 41 inches. So I have 37 here already. Taking half to join it to the gathers and taking half to join the shoulder, that's 36.5. So from 36.5 I want it to get to 41 inches. So I still need to get my gathers to be at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches, because I'll be hemming my gathers and also adding seam allowance on it to join it to this. So my gathers is going to be 6.5 inches. I would like to attach a pocket piece to my dress, so I just want to cut out my pocket piece from my leftover fabric. First, I rule a straight line as my baseline. This line is measuring 11.5 inches, and this is unfold into 4 because I need 4 pieces to create my pocket. The next thing I want to do is to measure my pocket opening. I want my pocket opening to be 6.5 inches. From this 6.5 inches, I'll be coming in by 1 inch, like so. I'll be coming in by 1 inch, like so. And I want my pocket width to be 7 inches. That's how wide I want my pocket to be. So from this point, I would come down this way from the 1 inch point, and then from the topmost part, I'll be coming in by 2 inches and connecting in a slant to the base of the pocket, like so. And then I'll just curve this out in this way and cut it out as my pocket piece. This is going to be my pocket piece. It's into 4 now. I'll show us quickly what this will look like if it's attached to the dress. Let me see if I can show us. So for example, this is the front. This is the front of my dress, and I have the back as well. If I'm joining the pocket piece, I'm taking a piece like this and I'm going to be joining it as like so, front side facing each other. I'll be joining the front side facing each other, and when I flip this, it will go in looking like this. So the inside of my pocket looks like this. On this side, once I join this to the front, I will do the same thing to the back piece, front side facing each other, and I'll flip it. By the time I turn it inside, both of them will be inside, and then I'll join them together on the inside to achieve a perfect pocket. That is for my pocket piece. And yes, I'll probably show us the sewing tutorial of how to put this together so that we don't get confused. That is my pocket piece and my inline dress. For my gathers at the hem, like I said to us initially, remember 120 inches. I've cut 120 inches by 8. So this is going to be gathered at the hem of my dress like this, and I'm using a separate fabric combination to do that. I also now want to cut out my sleeve, and we'll be using the Flutter sleeve for this tutorial. For you to cut out a Flutter sleeve, the very first thing you need to do is to put your fabric on fold in a triangular form, like on bias, like this. I put my fabric on fold on a bias like this. This is my fabric on a bias, and I'll be taking my measurements. My round armhole measurement is 17 inches. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. So this is what I have. On this line, I have my 8.5, but I'm adding 1 inch as my sewing allowance. That gives me 9.5. So this is my 9.5 mark here. But remember, my round armhole is 8.5. So I'll just take a straight line. That's my round armhole, 8.5. The next thing I want to add is my cap's height. To get your cap's height, you want to divide your bust measurement by 12 plus 0.5. My bust measurement is 36. 36 divided by 12 is 3 plus 0.5 is 3.5. So I'm taking 3.5 here from this line that we've drawn. 3.5 like so. And I'm connecting this together. That is my 3.5. And then from this 3.5, I'm connecting from this point in a gentle slope all the way to my armhole, like so. Now, from this highest point, I'm going to be taking my sleeve length, depending on the length you want for your sleeve. For this project, I'll be using 13 inches sleeve length. So I'll be taking 13 inches here, and I'll be taking it across from that same point. 13 inches across from that same point. This is what I have. I'll be connecting like so, and then I would cut out. This is our flutter sleeve. This is our flutter sleeve that will be joining on the dress.